Welcome back to On the Same Page. We are on Daf Mem Tes Amud Beis, 49b of Maseches Kiddushin. We're starting 3 lines from the bottom, where the Gemara begins following the Mishnah. The Gemara says, Hahu Gavra de Zavin l'nichsei adaita l'mesak l'eretz Yisrael. There was a man who sold his possessions, land apparently, Rashi says. He sold his land with the intent of moving to Eretz Yisrael. I suppose this took place in Babylonia. He sold his land with the intent to move to the land of Israel. Now when he sold it, he didn't say anything. He didn't say that he was selling it because he planned to move to Eretz Yisrael. He just sold it. And the Gemara doesn't say, but the end of the story was it didn't work out for him to move to Eretz Yisrael. Something happened, and the way Rashi says there was an one, something beyond his control happened, and he couldn't move to Eretz Yisrael. So he wants to renege on the sale, because he only sold it with the intent of moving to Israel. The problem was he didn't tell the buyer that little detail. So, as Rashi points out, had he stipulated that I'm selling this because I'm moving to Israel, and then something happened that prevented the move, so then he would have the right to negate the sale. But here he didn't say anything. So is he allowed to now come and say, I did this only with the plan to move to Israel or not? So Amar Rava says, Have a devarim shebelev. This is a matter in the heart. Udvarim shebelev einam devarim. Matters in the heart are not words, are not matters. In other words, a condition that is held onto in one's mind or one's heart can't be taken into account. And therefore, Rava says, sorry, if you didn't say anything about this plan to move to Israel, so you can't use that as a reason to negate the sale of the land. So says the Gemara, where does Rava know this from? What is Rava's source for this rule that he's stating, Dvarim shebelev einam dvarim? Matters in the heart are not matters and can't affect this transaction. So the Gemara says, if you tell me, you can derive it from the following Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Yakrivoso. It quotes the verse speaking about a karban olas nedava. If a person volunteers to bring a karban ola, a burnt elevation offering, so the verse there says that if he committed to bring an ola from cattle, from bakar, from a bull, so he should bring a male, and etc. And then it says, Yakriv oso lirtzono ifnei Hashem. He should bring it, Yakriv oso, he should bring it close, he should bring it as a karban, lirtzono, according to his will, before God. So says the Gemara, Yakriv oso, he should bring him, literally. Or I guess actually it's more going on. Just it says he should bring it, but it already said in the verse, Yakrivenu al Pesach. He should bring it to the Ohel Moed, to the Mishkan, to bring as an offering. And then it says Yakriv oso. He should bring it. So that's extra. So what is it teaching us by repeating Yakriv oso? Melamed shekofin oso. That teaches us that we force him. Says the Mishnah, it teaches us that we force the person who committed to bring the karban to bring it. I guess we'd be talking about somebody who said he was going to bring this offering, and then he tried to back out. So the Gemara says, the Mishnah says, that we learn from the extra word Yakriv oso, we should bring it, which maybe is perhaps being read as we should bring him, that we force him to bring the karban. Yachol bal karcho. So you might think that means that we actually compel him physically against his will to bring it. Talmud Lomar lirtzono. That's why the Torah says according to his will. So it says we force him to do it according to his will. So haketzad, how is that? How can you force someone willingly? How do those two things jive, coexist? So explains the Mishnah, Kofin oso ad sheyomar rotzani. What it means is we force him until he says, I want to do it. So we basically put a lot of pressure on him, whatever ways that the Beis Din, that the rabbis put pressure on him, but they pressure him to fulfill his commitment, his neder here. He took an oath that he would bring this offering. We compel him to do it, but we don't physically force him. We compel him to the extent that by pressuring him until he says, I want to do it. So that's that we force him according to his own will, though. It's only we force him until we get him to say that he wants to do it. Ask the Gemara, Ve'amai, but why? Habalibe lo nichole. In his heart, he doesn't want to do it. So why does it help to force him until he admits and says, fine, I agree to do it. I want to do it. But if in his heart he doesn't want to do it, so in what way can we call that lirtzono, that it's according to his will? Elav mishum de'amrinan, isn't it because we say dvarim shebelev einan dvarim? That matters of the heart are not matters. Meaning, as long as we can get him to say the words that he's willing, that he wants to do it, so we don't have to consider that in his heart he's really thinking that he doesn't want to. That's considered according to his will, if he says that it's according to his will. So perhaps this is the source for Rava's idea that dvarim shebelev einan dvarim, matters that remain in the heart don't impact a situation. It's only that which is actually stated that makes a difference. So the Gemara says, no, we don't have a proof from there. V'dilma shani hasam, maybe there it's different. Danan sahadi denichole bekapara, because there we can say that we are witness. We can bear testimony that he wants an atonement. So maybe you could say, maybe in general, we do say that matters of the heart make a difference. Over there, we don't assume that that's the matters of the heart, that he doesn't want to do it. If he said he wants to do it, then we know deep down that's actually what he wants. Because he wants an atonement. Certainly he wants an atonement. So our assumption there is that there are not once we get him to say the words, I want to do it, we'll also assume that that's actually what's going on in his heart, because we know deep down that's really what he wants. So maybe that's different. Maybe you don't see from there, dvarim shebelev einan dvarim, you don't see that matters of the heart are not matters, because we don't know what the matters of the heart there were. There's very strong reason to assume that the matters of the heart in that case were actually that he reached the point where he resolved that he does want to do it, because certainly deep down he would want the atonement that the offering will bring him, or maybe more importantly, he wouldn't want to transgress on his oath. Says the Gemara, Ela mi seifa. So rather, let's go to that same Mishnah, but look at the second half of the Mishnah. The second half of the Mishnah there says as follows: V'chein ata motzei b'gitei nashim shichrurei avadim. We find the same thing when it comes to a get for a woman, a bill of divorce that a man gives a woman, or shichrurei avadim, or when a person gives a get shichrur, a document of release to a slave. In both of those cases, the man has to give it willingly. A man who divorces his wife, he has to give her the get willingly. We can't force him to give the get. And so too if he wants to release his slave. So in those cases, kofin oso ad sheyomar rotzani. In those cases, we force him to the point where he says, I want to do it. So the Mishnah says we have a similar thing over there. We need him to do it willingly. But he's not doing it. So we have to put pressure. We pressure him to the point where he says, I want to do it. Ask the Gemara, V'amai, but why? Habalibe lo nichole. But in his heart, he doesn't want to do it. So what does it help that he says, I want to, if in his heart he doesn't want to. Elolav mishum. So isn't it because we say, Damrinan, we say, Dvarim shebelev einan dvarim? Matters of the heart are not matters. And therefore, as long as he says he wants to do it, that's what we go with. And the fact that in his heart he might be thinking differently, that doesn't matter to us. We need him to give the get willingly. Well, he said he's doing it. He said he wants to, so we take him at face value. And if there's something in his heart, apparently that doesn't matter. Maybe that's the source for Rava's idea that Dvarim shebelev einam dvarim, that matters in the heart don't make a difference. Says the Gemara, no, V'dilma shani hasam, maybe that's also different. Mishum de mitzvah lishmoa divrei chachamim. There's a mitzvah to listen to the words of the sages, of the court. And there's the rabbis are telling him that you have to give her a get. And he's refusing. So they pressure him and they try to convince him. And finally he says, I agree. But does he really agree? In his heart he doesn't agree. So the Gemara says, actually we can assume that he really agrees. Because he wants to there's a mitzvah to listen to the rabbis. So we assume that he's going to want to go along with that mitzvah. He may not really want to divorce his wife, but he does want to listen to the rabbis. So when he says, I want to do it, rotzani, so we take his word and we assume that that's also what's in his heart. So once again, we can't prove from here that matters of the heart don't make a difference, because actually here we're able to assume that the matters of the heart are in line with his words. So we still don't have a source for Rava's idea that matters of the heart don't make a difference. So Elam Rav Yosef, so rather Rav Yosef says Mehacha. We can learn it from here. And this is going to be a Mishnah later. I think it's a Mishnah. It's a Mishnah later in Kiddushin, later on Daf Samach Beis, page 62. The Mishnah says, "Ha-mekadesh es ha'isha." A man betroths a woman. Ve'amar, and he says, "Kasavar ha'isi shei kahanes." I thought she was from a family of Kohanim. Ve'arehi Levia. Turns out she's from a family of Leviim, of Levites. Or Levia v'nimtzeis kahanes. He says, I thought she was from a family of Levites, and she was really from a family of Kohanim. Aniya v'arehi Ashira. I thought she was poor and she's rich. Ashira v'arehi Aniya. I thought she was rich and she's poor. Mikudashes. In all those cases, the Kiddushin is good. Mipnei shelo hataso. She didn't trick him. The case there is not like the Mishnah that we learned last week, and we're going to get back to in a moment. The case in our Mishnah, locally in 49b, so actually he claimed one thing and it turned out to be another, or she claimed one thing and it turned out to be another. This Mishnah that we're quoting now, nobody claimed anything. He was under an assumption for some reason that she was from a family of Kohanim. It turned out that he later found out she's actually from a family of Leviim. He was under the assumption that she was rich. Maybe she drove a fancy car. It turned out she's actually quite poor. She was borrowing her friend's car, right? Whatever, right? So but she didn't trick him. She didn't do anything to trick him. So in that case, the Mishnah says the Kiddushin is good. Ve'amai, why? Hakamar kasavar ha'isi. He said, I thought something else. So he was under a false impression. So if he can say, I thought that she was rich when she was really poor, so that means that he was mekadesh or betos. He erred in the Kiddushin. So why can't he walk it back and negate it? Isn't it because we say, Dvarim shebelev einam dvarim, matters of the heart don't matter. He's claiming now, I thought something, and therefore this transaction was an error. This Kiddushin was an error because I thought she was one thing, it turned out she was another. Well, sorry, if you didn't say that you were doing it under that assumption, it was just in your mind, so we can't, we don't consider that. So therefore, so we see from there that matters of the heart don't make a difference. So that was Rav Yosef's proof. So Amar le Abaye said to him, Dilma shani hasam, maybe that's different. Dil l'chumra. There we're going l'chumra. There we're going towards stringency. We're erring on the side of caution. We're saying that we can't take matters of the heart into our into account, and we have to consider that they're married. We can't negate the marriage. If he wants to divorce her, go ahead. He could divorce her and give her a get, but we can't nullify the Kiddushin. There we're being stringent and saying that we can't consider matters of the heart to be lenient. But it could be that in our case is a case where he sold his property, and now he wants it back, so he wants to negate the sale. So here it's more of a monetary transaction. It's not a question of is he married or not. Marriage is a much bigger thing and has great halachic consequences. The case of the sale of the land, so that's a case we could negate the sale. It's not like they're really married and now they're going to act like they're not married. So over here, yeah, when it comes to Kiddushin, we can't just say, oh, he thought something, okay, cancel the whole thing. But maybe when it comes to Kiddushin, we can't say that matters of the heart make a difference, but maybe when it comes to the sale of the land, maybe we could. So Ela Amar Abaye, so rather Abaye says Mehacha. The proof is from here, and it's from our Mishnah. And our Mishnah talked about where they actually stipulated something. The man said, I'm giving you Kiddushin on condition that I'm a Kohen. And it turned out he wasn't a Kohen. So it's not a good Kiddushin. And the Mishnah said, Bikulam, in all these cases, Afal Pisha Amra Belibi Hayalis Kadishlo, even if the woman would say that I didn't care about the condition, in my heart I wanted to marry him either way, whether he's a Kohen or a Levi or Yisrael. But Afal Piking Eina Mikudeshes. But even still, it's not a good Kiddushin. So that's what the Mishnah said. The Mishnah said that when the man makes a condition and that condition is not fulfilled, even if the woman says, oh, I didn't really care about the condition, and I wanted to marry, in my heart I wanted to marry him either way. So the Mishnah said, even still, it's not a good Kiddushin. So says the Gemara, V'amai, why not? Haka'amra belibi haya. She said, in my heart, I wanted to accept it either way, so why can't we listen to her and say she wanted to accept it either way? Rather, what do we see? We see that matters of the heart don't matter. She accepted the condition. She didn't say that she wasn't accepting a Kiddushin, the condition, and therefore if the condition is not met, it's not a good Kiddushin. She can't say, in my mind, in my heart, I wanted to accept it either way, because Dvarim Shabalev, Einam Dvarim. Says the Gemara, V'dilma Shani Hasam. Now maybe there it's different. Dekiman Disnaya Lav Kol Kamina Da'akra Lelatanai. Maybe that's different, because there he actually made a stipulation. He made a condition. So maybe she's not believed to uproot an actual condition. He said, on condition that I'm a Kohen. Turned out he was a Levi. So she wants to now say, oh, I didn't really care about the condition. Yeah, but there was a condition you accepted. You can't just uproot that condition. But in our case, in Rava's case, where he sold a field, so there were no conditions made. He didn't say that I'm selling it on condition of one thing and that condition wasn't met. There were no conditions made. So he just wants to say now that I was doing it with the intent to go to Israel and it didn't work out, I want to cancel the sale. So the question is, if in his mind he wanted to go to Israel and he didn't say that, and he didn't say that it was dependent on that, does that still work? But in our case, in our Mishnah, there was a condition. She's trying to say, I don't care about the condition that was made. I don't care about that. But there was a condition at the end of the day. Who says she can uproot that condition? So Ela Amar Rav Chia bar Avin. So rather, Rav Chia bar Avin says, Ovda Hava Bei Rav Chisda. There was a situation in the house of Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda Bei Rav Huna. Rav Chisda brought the question to Rav Huna. Upashtu Ameha. And they resolved it from here. So here's going to be the source for this idea that Dvarim Shebalev Einam Dvarim, that matters of the heart don't make a difference. The following case. Ha'omer lishlucho haveli min achalano min hadeluskama vehevilo. A man says to his agent, bring me money from the window or from a certain bag, and the agent brings it. So it turns out the money that the agent brought was hektish money. And he used that money to buy something. So that if a person uses hektish money, money that has been sanctified, designated for the temple use, for the Beis HaMikdash as a donation, so if one uses that money bishogeg, by accident, so one transgresses me'ilah, misappropriating hektish, and not only do you have to pay back hektish, you have to pay back the temple coffers, you also have to add a fifth, and you have to bring a carbon me'ilah. There's a carbon that one is obligated to bring if they are moel b'shogeg, if they transgress me'ilah, they misappropriate hektish by accident, there's a carbon that's required. So here he told the agent, bring me money from the window, and the agent brought money, and I guess he used it for to purchase something. So who's responsible there? So this is one of the cases where, and one of the exceptions where we say that if the agent is doing his shlichus, he's doing his agency, even though normally we say ein shliach l'dvar avera, there's no agent for an avera, whoever does the avera is the one responsible. When it comes to this case, we learned about this earlier in the Masechta, when it comes to me'ilah, there could be agency. So as long as the agent, the messenger, did what he was told to do, the sender is responsible. And he's the one who would have to bring the carbon me'ilah and pay back the extra fifth, etc. So what happened was, he told him, bring money from the windowsill, or from this bag, and he brought it, and they used that money. So, Afal pi shamar Baal Habayis, even if the Baal Habayis, the owner, would say, Lo haya li b'libi ela al zeh, I didn't have in mind that money that was on the window, that was the hektish money, there was other money there that you were supposed to bring. But kevan shehevi lo mizeh, since he brought money from there, Baal Habayis ma, the Baal Habayis, the owner, is the one who was responsible. He's the one who was moel. He's the one who misappropriated hektish. Because the shliach, the messenger, did what he was told. He said, bring me money from the windowsill. There were different money there. He may have meant, bring me the money that's not hektish, the money on the left, and he brought the money on the right, but he didn't tell him what to do. He just told him, bring money from the windowsill. He brought money from the windowsill. So he did exactly what he was told. So even if the Baal Habayis, the owner, would say, I meant the other money that's not hektish, but still, since the agent did what he was told, the Baal Habayis is the one who's responsible. He's the one who has transgressed me'ilah. That's what the Mishnah says. So, says the Gemara, but why? Haka Amar, he said, Belibi. In my heart, I meant the other one. So, this isn't what I had in mind. So you didn't do what I was really telling you to do. I was telling you to bring the non-hektish money. You brought the hektish money. So who's responsible? Shouldn't it be that the agent is responsible? Elolav mishum de'amrinan. Isn't it because we say dvarim shebelev einam dvarim? Matters the heart or not matters. Since he didn't tell him which money to bring, he just had it in his heart. He meant the non-hektish money, but that was in the heart. He told him to bring money. The guy brought money. So that's all that matters, what he said. Matters the heart don't matter. So it seems we don't believe him, or it doesn't make a difference, matters the heart don't matter. That could be the proof for Rava. Says the Gemara, V'dilma shani hasam. No, maybe there it's different. Dila mifter nafshe mi karban kasi. There he's trying to get himself out of having to bring a carbon. So maybe there we don't believe him to, meaning maybe matters the heart do make a difference. Just there, we can't trust him that was really what was in his heart, because there, he maybe wants to just get out of a carbon. So he's just trying to get out of it. As opposed to in our case, I think, in the case where as Rashi says, in the case where the guy sold the land, so you'll say, oh, maybe he's just claiming that he wanted to go to Israel because he wants to get his land back. No, but there he actually tried to go to Israel. He tried to move, and it didn't work. So there we wouldn't say, oh, he's just lying. No, there it's just, we don't think he's making it up. We believe that he really just wanted to go to Israel. The question is, since he kept it in his heart, does that make a difference? Do we consider what was in his heart or not? So are Devarim Shebelev Devarim? Does it matter? So maybe in this case where the Baal Habayis, the owner, is claiming, oh, in my heart I meant you should take the other money. Well, very convenient, because that will get you out of the carbon. Then the agent will be responsible for having not done his agency. He'll be the one who was Ma'al. He's the one who misappropriated Hektish. He's the one who will have to bring a carbon. So maybe there we don't believe him. But maybe really Devarim Shebelev are Devarim. Maybe normally matters of the heart do make a difference. So the Gemara says, if he was just trying to get out of a carbon, Hava leila memar mezid hava. He has a better way to get out of a carbon, a more believable way. Don't say I meant the other money. Just say I did it on purpose. I did it b'mezid. If somebody transgresses me'ila on purpose, they are not obligated to bring a carbon. I mean, it's much worse in certain ways, but they won't have to bring a carbon. Now, I think someone who transgresses me'ila on purpose is chayav misa b'dei shamayim, that he gets killed by the heavens. But I guess he's not concerned about that. He knows it wasn't b'mezid. He knows it wasn't on purpose, so he's not worried that the heavens are going to strike him dead. And on the other hand, he doesn't want to have to bring the carbon, so he is claiming that it was on purpose. So in other words, that's not what happened. But the point is, the Gemara is saying we should believe him when he says, I meant the other money. We shouldn't think that he was just trying to get out of the carbon. Because if he was just trying to get out of the carbon, he has a easier path to get out of the carbon. He could just claim that he did it on purpose. And since that's not what he's claiming, it doesn't seem that he's just trying to get out of the carbon. It seems that he legitimately meant to tell him to go get the other money. And yet we don't accept that, because Devarim Shebelev Einam Devarim. So maybe we do have a proof that matters the heart are not matters. So the Gemara says, no, it's not. Nobody would claim that. People don't want to make themselves into Rishayim, into wicked. He's gonna say that he did it on purpose. Nobody would make themselves look so bad. So that's not a claim that he would have legitimately made in order to get out of bringing the carbon. Therefore, his only claim to get out of bringing the carbon is to claim that in his mind he meant the other money. He meant the non-hektish money. So we can't trust him on that, because maybe he's just saying it to get out of the carbon. And since we can't trust him, so that's why we don't accept it. Not because Devarim Shebelev Einam Devarim. So this, at the moment, would not be a proof that matters of the heart don't make a difference. Because maybe here it's different. We just can't believe that was his matters of the heart. Maybe he's just trying to get out of the carbon. The Gemara says, still he has a better claim. Havalei lomar nizkarti. He could have said, I realized in the middle that it was hektish. If he just wanted to get out of the carbon, he has a better claim that doesn't make him look like a Rasha, and yet he'll get out of the carbon. And that is to claim, I realized in the middle that it was hektish. Ditnan, as the Mishnah says, nizkar Baal Habayis. If the Baal Habayis realizes, the owner realizes, v'lo nizkar shliach, and the shliach doesn't remember, he doesn't realize, shliach ma'al, then the shliach is the one who transgressed me'ila. So let's say he sent the shliach, go get money from the window, and go buy something. The shliach goes, it turns out the money's hektish, neither of them realize, the shliach takes the money, he's off on his way to get to buy whatever it is, and the Baal Habayis realizes in the middle, he says, oh, whoops, that was hektish. So at the moment, they haven't benefited from the money yet, so the Baal Habayis is not a shogeg right now. He might be he's not doing it by accident, he knows. If anything, he's amazed, but it's too late, because he's not doing it on purpose either, because it's already in motion. There's nothing you can do at this point. So whose responsibility is it? Now it's the shliach. The shliach is the one who's the shogeg. He's the one who doesn't know what's going on. He's the one who will have to bring the carbon. So So that what the Gemara is saying is, if the Baal Habais, if the owner was just trying to get out of bringing the carbon, he didn't have to say, I meant the other money on the windowsill. He could have said, I realized in the middle. That would have been a good claim to get out of the carbon. But he didn't make that claim. Rather, he made the claim that I really meant, in my heart, I meant the other money. And even still, we don't accept that claim. And it's not because we can't believe him, and that we think he's just trying to get out of the carbon, because if he wanted to get out of the carbon, he would make a better claim. It must be that the reason we don't believe him, it's not that we don't believe him, we believe him. But Dvarim Shebelev Einam Dvarim. Matters of the heart are not matters, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that he meant to send the shliach to the other money. If he told the shliach, get money from the windowsill, so it doesn't matter what he's thinking. It's what he said. That's what matters. And so the shliach did what he was told. He got money from the windowsill. It turned out that was hektish money. He fulfilled the agency. He did what he was told to do. So the one who sent him is the one responsible. So we see that, we see from here that Dvarim Shebelev Einam Dvar. Matters of the heart are not matters. Okay, so that's the proof. Hahu Gabra Dizavninu L'Nichsei Adaita L'Mesak L'Arad Yisrael. There was a man who sold his possessions with the intent of moving to Israel, and this person actually stipulated that that was his intent. Salik, he went up to Israel, v'lo itdarle. He wasn't able to settle there. So he got there, but he wasn't able, it didn't work out to settle. He couldn't find food, or he didn't have a place to live, so he ended up coming back to Bavel. So, Amar Rava said, Kol desalik adaita lemederhu, v'halo itdar le. Anybody who went to Israel, it was with the intent of settling, and he wasn't able to settle, and therefore he could take back the sale. So he sold his land. He sold it, and he said, I'm selling this because I'm planning to move to Israel. He moved to Israel, but he was not able to settle. He came back. So Rava says, that means he didn't get what he had in mind, and it was sold in error, and the sale is negated. Ikadamri, but some say, Adaita lemesak, v'hasalakle. Others say the opposite. No, he did it with the intent of going, and of moving there. He moved there. Okay, it didn't work out, but the stipulation was fulfilled, and he can't negate the sale. So we have both sides. Either one side, we have one version that says, and these are different versions of Rava, it seems. One version of Rava was that if a person says he's selling with the intent to move somewhere, even if he moves there, but if it doesn't work out to settle there, then the sale is negated. The other version of Rava says that he moved there, and he did it with the intent to move there, and he moved there. The fact that it didn't work out, that does not negate the sale. There was another guy, sold his land with the intent of moving to Israel. In the end, he didn't move. It's not that he got there and it didn't work out. He didn't even leave. So Ravashi said, if he wants to, he could go. He can't negate the sale. He said, I'm selling this with the intent to move. Okay, so move. What are you still doing here? So you can't negate the sale just because he decided not to move. That's what Ravashi said. If he wants to, he could go. Ikadamri. Some have a different version of Ravashi. That Ravashi said, Ibayi lo salik. If he wants to, can't he go? Which seems to be saying the same thing. If he wants to, can't he go? So it's up to him. So therefore he can't negate the sale. So one version of Ravashi said, if he wants to, he could go. And if that's the case, he can't negate the sale. The other version of Ravashi said, if he wants to, can't he go? So he can't negate the sale. So they seem to be saying the same thing. So what's the difference in these two versions of Ravashi? My beinayu, what's the difference? Ika beinayu, what would be a difference is disyalid onsa be'orcha. If some kind of ones, some kind of prevention beyond his control happened on the way, on the road, not that he's on the road, but there's something, Rashi gives the example, he heard that there's many bandits on the road. So, would that be a valid reason now not to go and to negate the sale? So according to the first version of Rav Ashi, that Rav Ashi said, if he wants to, he could go. Rav Ashi would be saying, there may be bandits, so he has to join a safe caravan. But if he wants to, he could go. And therefore he can't negate the sale. The second version of Rav Ashi, which was more of a, posed as a question, if he wants to, can't he go? So that's maybe a little bit more tame, maybe more relaxed. It's saying, like, can't he go? But if there's a valid reason, he's basically saying there's nothing stopping him, right? If he wants to, can't he go? There's nothing stopping him. But if there would be something stopping him, like this, so then he would be allowed to negate the sale. So that's the Gemara says is the difference between these two versions of Rav Ashi. The first version is saying he could go if he wants, he could work it out. Second, and even if there's like bandits on the road, he just has to take a safe caravan. The other version is, and according to that version, he cannot negate the sale. And according to the second version, it's like if he wants to, can't he go? But if he can't, because there's something stopping him that makes it or even something that makes it difficult, so then indeed he can be allowed to negate the sale. Okay. The next Mishnah says, Ha'omer l'shlucha, a man says to his agent, say v'kadesh li isha plonis b'makom ploni. Go betroth for me this certain woman, b'makom ploni, in this certain place. B'halach, and he went. V'kitsha b'makom acher, and he was mekadesh, or he betrothed her in a different place. So, eina mikudeshes. It's not a good kiddushin. That's what the Mishnah says. He said to do it in one place, the guy did it in a different place, it's not a good kiddushin. But harehi b'makom ploni, if he just told her where he is, he said, go betroth her, she's in such and such a place. V'kitsha b'makom acher, and in the end the agent betrothed her in a different place, Harei zu mikudeshes, then it is a good kiddushin. So, in the second case, he just told her where she was. He didn't say you have to do it there, so therefore it's a good kiddushin. In the first place, he said go betroth her in such and such a place. So it could be, so there it's not a good kiddushin if you dig it somewhere else, and that's because he may have wanted it to be in a specific place because he has relatives there who can defend his reputation, and represent him if she maybe is wondering if he's a good guy or things like that. So if others protest, they can step up and defend him. So if he said a specific place, he meant that specific place, and if the shliach, if the agent did it in a different place, it would not be a good kiddushin. Says the Gemara, Utnan nami gabi gitting. We find the same teaching in the Mishnah with regards to a get. Ha'omer tnu get zeh le'ishti. If a man says, give this get, he says to his agent, give this get to my wife, b'makom ploni, in a certain place, v'nasnu la b'makom acher, and the agent gave it to her in a different place, pasul. The get is nullified. It's not good. Harei b'makom ploni, but if he says she is in such a place, give her this get, she's in whatever place. V'nasnu la b'makom acher, and he gave it to her somewhere else, kosher. It would be kosher. Because he didn't tell him to give it to her in that place, he just told him where she was. Says the Gemara Tricha, we needed to teach me this halacha with regards to kiddushin and to teach it with regards to get. I cannot figure out one from the other. D'yashminan gabi kiddushin. If it had only told me with regards to kiddushin that when he says do it in this specific place, he has to do it in that specific place, and if not, it's not good. If they had only told me this about kiddushin, I would have said b'makom or mishum de lekurva ka'asi b'hayasra rachmuli v'lo memalili mili iloi. He could say that in this place that I told you, I have relatives there, and I guess you read the kurva kasi b'hayasra. Or let's try to read this again. Gabe kiddushin. When it comes to kiddushin, B'makom delekur bakasi, in a place where he's coming to a place of relatives, he can say, Bahai aser rachmali. In that place, they'll have mercy on me. V'lo memaluli mili iloi, and they're not going to say bad things about me. So that's where I want you to do the Kiddushin. But Bahai asra, sanui, in the place where you decide to do the Kiddushin, they hate me. Memaluli mili iloi, and they're going to say bad things about me. So, could be this is before the Kiddushin, right? And if in the end she accepted it, you might think it doesn't make a difference, but the point is that his stipulation was specific. I want you to do it in this town because I know that there I have my relatives who can represent me. If somebody gets up and tells her, don't take the Kiddushin, that guy's a scoundrel, well, my relatives will come forward and say, no, he's a great guy. So I meant very specifically that place. So maybe when it comes to Kiddushin, we say that when you say a place, you mean that specific place. However, Aval Gabe Gittin, when it comes to get, Dilurichuka Kasi. Oh, sorry, now I realize what I was reading wrong. By Kiddushin, Dilikurva Kasi, the intent is to bring her close. He's bringing her into the marriage. So then, it makes a difference that there's relatives there. But Gabe Gittin Dilurichuka Kasi, by Gittin, he's distancing her from him. So then, Emar Loch Batle, he can say, I don't care where it happens. I don't care if there's people who are going to speak down about me. It doesn't matter. I'm getting divorced from her anyways. So that's what you might have said. So that's why it wasn't enough to teach it by Kiddushin. It also had to say by Gittin. To say by Gittin, it also makes a difference where it happens. If he stipulates a specific place, it has to be done in that place. V'yashming and Gabe Gerushin, if it was only taught in the context of divorce, that when he stipulates a place, it has to be done in that place. But by Kiddushin, it didn't tell me that. So I wouldn't have been able to learn it from Gittin to Kiddushin, because I would say, B'hai asra nichole de nivzi. You could say, a divorce comes with a certain amount of people frown on it, for better or for worse, but it's looked down upon. So people will say, oh, look, that couple, they got divorced, it didn't work out. So we're suggesting when it comes to divorce, he cares where it happens, because he says, I want you to do it here, because it's okay if in that town they talk badly about me. But in a different place, I don't want them to be witness to the divorce, to the giving of the guy. I don't want them to hear about it, because in that place I care about my reputation. So maybe when it comes to divorce, if he stipulates a place, that's where we insist that it happen in that place. But when it comes to Kiddushin, Siman Tov Mazel Tov, everybody's happy, and there's nothing negative about it. So I might say it doesn't matter where it happens. Tzricha. That's why it was necessary to teach me it does matter. Both by get and by Kiddushin, it makes a difference. If a person stipulates he wants it to happen in a certain place, then the agency is only fulfilled if it's done in that place. Because there could be a very good reason why he wants it done in that specific place. By Kiddushin, it could be because he wants his own relatives there, or friends, or whatever it might be, to be there to uphold his reputation. By Gittin, he might care where it is that the get takes place, because that also can affect his reputation, who hears that he gave a get, and that can make a difference to him as well. Okay, the next Mishnah says, a man betroths a woman on condition that she doesn't have any nadarim. She doesn't have any oaths that she's taken, vows. And it turns out that she has taken vows. It's not a good Kiddushin, because the condition was that she doesn't have vows. It turned out she had vows. Kansa stam, if he married her stam, without stipulation, and it turns out that she has vows, teitze shelo biksuba, he has to give her, he can divorce her, and he doesn't have to pay her ksuba. So a woman who has taken vows, that's grounds to not receive her ksuba, to receive her divorce payments. So, fine. So again, if he stipulates at the time of Kiddushin that I'm doing this on condition she has no vows, and it turns out she has vows, the Kiddushin's no good. If he didn't stipulate it, the Kiddushin's good, and he has to give her a get if he wants to divorce her. But when he gives her the get, he doesn't have to pay her ksuba. She loses her ksuba because being a woman with vows is grounds for not receiving his ksuba, her ksuba. Sorry. It's not so clear what these vows are about. I don't think we would say. So we're going to see later on in the Gemara that what these vows are about, even though the Gemara here is not going to bring it, but the Gemara later is going to say we're talking about vows that affect the marriage. So maybe what she's willing to eat, how she's willing to dress. So it may depend exactly how he says it, and what he stipulates or not. But this wouldn't be any vow, but vows that seemingly will affect the marriage will be grounds for divorce without iksuba. If he says, Al menasheng aleh woman, he says, I'm giving her kiddushin on condition that she doesn't have any physical blemishes. And we mean specific types of physical blemishes that also prevent a Kohen from serving in the Beis HaMikdash. So there are specific physical blemishes. V'nimtzu ba'mumin, and it turns out that she does have these blemishes. Eina mekudeshes, it's not a good kiddushin. Kansastam, if he married her without stipulating anything about the blemishes, v'nimtzu ba'mumin, it turned out that she had these physical blemishes. Teitze shelo b'ksuba. He has to give her a get to divorce her, and she does not get her ksuba. Again, mumin, these physical blemishes that disqualify a Kohen from serving in the Beis HaMikdash, in the temple, so they also disqualify a woman, not that she can't be married, but it gives the husband the right, an unknown, unrevealed blemish. If she would tell him and he would accept it, so that would be different. But if it was an unrevealed blemish, so that would actually disqualify her from receiving her ksuba. Says the Gemara, T'na nami gabe ksubos. We find the exact same Mishnah in Maseches Ksubos. Ki agavna, like this. Hacha kiddushin tzrichale. Here we said it because there's a halacha about Kiddushin. There's two aspects of this. There's two steps in each of these stages, in each of these cases here. There's if he does Kiddushin on condition that she doesn't have vows or that she doesn't have blemishes, and it turns out she does, the Kiddushin is no good. So that's a halacha relating to Kiddushin, and that's why it's found in Kiddushin. And Tana Ksubos atu Kiddushin. And once it was telling us the law about Kiddushin, it also just told us the related law about the Ksuba. And Hasam Ksubos etzrichale. It says it again in Maseches Ksubos to say, what if he didn't stipulate and the Kiddushin is good, but he's allowed to divorce her without giving her a Ksuba? That's a Ksubos related halacha. And so once it was saying it, Tana Kiddushin atu Ksubos. It also mentioned the halacha of Kiddushin in Maseches Ksubos once it was saying this halacha with regards to Ksubos. Okay, thanks for listening. We will begin the next Mishnah next time.